Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Find Out podcast. It feels good this morning. We're recording the day after Election Day. You'll see this on Thursday, but everything just feels lighter, guys. And we also have an amazing guest with us, and that is Amanda from Amanda's Mild Takes. She is a political and historical content creator. So, Amanda, thank you for joining us on this wonderful morning.
I'm so happy to be here. Birds are singing. Everything is glorious.
I know. The
Nothing
blue
is
sky.
wrong.
It feels like a morning out of a Disney movie.
Yes.
Tim, I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself now.
I know.
I know. It's been 9 months of doom and gloom, or a year really of doom and gloom. And
I mean, 10 years of doom and gloom.
Well, we had a little break,
off and on,
but not really.
We had a little break with a pandemic
during COVID,
during a horrible period
during the plague.
So, guys, we won everywhere, and it wasn't just that we won everywhere; we won big everywhere. I mean, Abigail Spanberger won by 13, 14 points. 15. Mikey Sherrill, who everyone thought maybe could be in trouble, won by like 13 points.
Yep.
The Yes on 50 campaign blew it out of the water. That passed. Maine beat back a bad voter bill and also passed a red flag law, gun bill, which is actually really good, which allows law enforcement and judges to take guns away from people who are domestic abusers or a threat to themselves, which is great. Mississippi broke the supermajority. We were just joking before the show with Amanda that we haven't said anything positive about Mississippi, like ever. And so there's so many more. There were like the Democrats in the House of Delegates of Virginia cleaned house. So I'm going to start with Amanda. How are you feeling? And just give us the unedited version.
I'm tired. I worked the polls yesterday for 16 hours.
Holy cow.
It was a lot. And as we were packing up and like calling in our results from our precinct to the county, Spanberger's race was called before we'd even left the building. So that was amazing. Wow. That took 16 minutes from the time the polls closed in Virginia for decision just to call it. And then I went home and got really drunk. I opened the bottle of champagne that I did not get to open on election night 2024. I opened it last night. And
now it's vintage.
I cried a little bit.
Yummy.
I know. I feel great. I feel great. I'm not hungover, which I feel like is magic.
Excellent.
Because I'm 40 years old, y'all, and those hangovers come fast. Not that I make it.
And they stay with you.
I've got you beat by a few years, and we had a live show last night, and there were some drinks, so we're a little slow this morning, but we're gonna ask everybody. But man, I want to start with you. Like, what did we learn last night? What does this mean?
What did we learn? Well, I want to say, I'm going to just say this at the top. I do not think that what we learned was that any particular kind of candidate is the face of the Democratic Party moving forward.
Yep.
Donnie won by 9 points. Spanberger won by 15 points. These are completely different candidates. Yep. But they both, and Mikey, all three of them ran on affordability. And all three of them won young men, which is a problem for the Democratic Party. Mamdani by 40 points, which is amazing. And so they won on affordability. They won on the things that their electorate cares about, and they wrapped that in messaging that resonated with their voters, because a voter in Brooklyn is not the same as a voter in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And that's what I think that's what we learned, that we just have to keep doing that. We need to keep doing that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we were talking about it on the show last night. Like, everyone keeps saying like, who is the future of the Democratic Party? And the answer is nobody and everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, it's the same thing as them saying they want a Joe Rogan of the left. Like, no, you're trying to answer the wrong question. Yeah. Like, you just need to tap all the talent.
Yeah, it's reason versus chaos. Like, the left versus the right is not two equal things that are on opposite sides of a spectrum. It's crystallized things on the left and absolute fucking mayhem on the right. And we don't want absolute fucking mayhem on the left to counter the mayhem on the right. Amanda, I was very eager to talk to you today, because I know that you've dealt with this in many of your comments. You've done videos on this. Are we ever going to have free and fair elections again? Because I'm still not convinced.
Yeah. So my usual answer to that, you're right. I hear that every day. We're never going to have free and fair elections again. Actually, it started.
So give up.
We're never going to have elections again. Obviously,
Right.
that should be fake.
Yep.
So then we just move the goalpost to the next thing to have an anxiety spiral about, which is that we're never going to have free and fair elections again. And my answer to that is generally we have never in the history of this country had free and fair elections. Literally not ever. When the country was founded, the only people who could vote were maybe three of you, propertied white men over specific. It took, 200 years for black men to get the right to vote. It took another 60 for white women to get the right to vote. And then it took another 50 for people like me to get the right to vote. So that's never happened. And then we've had gerrymandering, poll taxes, literacy tests. I mean, in some counties now in America, it's illegal for you to hand out water to people who are in line to vote. And those lines are on purpose. Those lines are purposeful.
Yep. I live in a state like that.
Yes. Voter suppression.
Trash state.
Real, has been real. I mean, yesterday we had bomb threats called into polling places in New Jersey. It turned out to mostly be like some dumb kid, but that dumb kid learned it from somewhere. That's something that you can do.
And I didn't check, but I was like, I wonder if they were blue or red areas where the threats were called in. I think I know.
Yeah, I didn't look either. But once I saw that it was a kid and a prank, I was like, well, whatever. Probably just some chaos.
Right. Moving on.
Which is a thing that, we deal with a lot with, especially young men now, teenage boys, that have no coherent ideology. But yeah, so are we going to have free and fair elections in the midterms? I don't know. I mean, is there going to be more gerrymandering? Probably. We're obviously getting into that fight now, too. Is there going to be more of a voter suppression? Maybe. The future is not knowable, which is also something that I have to say constantly to my followers. But I want people to understand that the franchise is something we have been fighting for 250 years. And that fight did not end just because you can walk into your polling place with ease because you're not a felon and you're a white person or you're whatever. That doesn't mean that it has been easy or free or fair for other people. And that is still the case.
I love that response. I was expecting like, no, the doom spiralers can fuck off, but you actually gave a really nuanced, thoughtful. I'm like, shit, I got to think about it. We're in an active fight is what you're saying. We're in an active fight forever for America. So maybe we shouldn't say, oh man, and then like go turn on rom-coms and give up. I mean, that's always an option, but
yeah, there's a place for that. I might do that later today because I'm fucking exhausted, but not a permanent state to live in. No.
Yeah. Well, self-care, obviously. I mean, people need to take care of themselves, and especially after a big victory last night.
Yeah.
People should be resting and gearing up for now, which is going to sound crazy, but the midterm elections are now less than a year away by one day. And now the focus is on that. What do we think?
Those campaigns are starting in like 3 months, and
well, they already have. I mean, a lot of them,
but in earnest, right? Like after they're fundraising now, organizing. But like this is my big takeaway when I woke up this morning. It was like, holy shit! If I'm a Republican and I won my seat by 12 points last cycle in the House, notably, and now I'm going, what the fuck? There are 20 and 30 point swings to the left in some of these areas. And he completely lost the Latino gains that he made, by the way, in 2024.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back to baseline. 2-1, 60-30 for the Democratic candidates in multiple states, in multiple counties where there's a strong Hispanic vote. All of the things that they thought were going to hold, that they prayed were going to hold true into the midterms, are now not true. And they are facing that, and they're facing the fact that they just spread themselves thinner in a bunch of areas with gerrymandering. So I'm like, if I'm the person in the House deciding, am I going to do Trump's work anymore, or am I a rising star thinking of getting into politics? 2026 looks real bad now compared to how it looked even 24, 48 hours ago.
Have you guys seen Marjorie Taylor Greene? Suddenly she's trying to rebrand herself as rational and sane.
I can't believe
she's been like going on The View and talking as if she's a normal person, which she is not. Will always be Marjorie Taylor Greene. But she recognizes that even in her district, which would be impossible for a Republican to lose, that she's got to start working. Like she's got to work to keep that seat. And that's going to be the case for every Republican in the House.
If I am one of those Texas members of Congress district went from a Republican plus 10 to 12 to plus 7 because of the gerrymandering, because you have to put the Democrats somewhere, I would be freaking out today.
I'd be on Indeed right now.
But you guys, Mike
Just
Johnson
Home
says he
Depot
doesn't
hiring.
think that last night was about Republicans at all. He says it's not indicative about Republicans at all.
Sure,
Who said
bud.
that?
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson.
I mean, Mike Johnson should take a look at the best performing
Spineless,
person
feckless
against
fuck.
the Democrats was a Democrat in Cuomo. And he did, and so
Right.
every Republican got fucking shellacked.
That's a really good
Democrats won
point.
91% of votes in New York City.
I mean, even if you look at like the suburbs of Virginia, which Republicans have to win the suburbs in my state to go to Congress, like Chesterfield County, which is the fastest growing county in the state, suburbs of Richmond. Glenn Youngkin, our Republican governor, won Chesterfield County by 5 points in 2021. Abigail Spanberger won it last night by 17 points.
Jeez.
17 points.
Yeah.
If you're and Chesterfield County is in Rob Whitman's district, and he ran ahead of Trump a little bit in 2024. I don't know that. I mean, if I'm him, I'm waking up today pissing myself.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that trend all night last night because I'd like to dive into the numbers, and it was really the rural areas where I was the most surprised because these rural people are coming out really, really bad for MAGA because MAGA's like Trump's approach in the generals is to run up the numbers in rural America, and it's worked extraordinarily well. And this time, the polar opposite happened because people are actually feeling the pain of a Trump presidency. That the prices aren't getting better, and they just can't. They have to have something change or they're screwed.
Yeah, we're entering the find out season. Like this is it's hard.
Mary
It's going
find
to be
out.
harder to get vaccines. We're only beginning to see like the FDA, like food and drug protection starting to get rolled back. Like people are literally going to be getting sick and dying and paying more for healthcare because of all the decisions that Republicans have been making for the last 12 months. Right. So I think that the wave that we saw last night is just the beginning. Like more and more Republicans, even the diehard MAGAs, are going to start peeling away from Trump. I mean, building a massive gold-plated fucking ballroom while the federal workforce is either getting laid off or furloughed or forced to work without pay.
And they're waiting at the food
like
banks.
Virginia's not voting Trumpy again. Like that, the shutdown hurts Virginians more than anyone.
If you guys want to see a really good number out of Fairfax, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the counties. Fairfax County, that's largest county, largest bluest county in Virginia. 66% for Kamala Harris in 2024. Jay Jones got 68%.
Oh my God.
In Fairfax
Jones
County.
outperformed her
Jay
in Fairfax?
Jones outperformed Kamala Harris.
That's
Not
crazy.
because Jay is that great, because he only won 52% statewide, but because that's how fucking much everyone is pissed off.
Well,
in Northern Virginia, close to DC.
Well, I was looking at Loudoun County last night when like 75% was in.
Yeah.
And actually Zach and I were talking about it on our live thing, and I was like, wait a minute. Spanberger's not just overperforming Kamala. She's running ahead of Joe Biden in 2020. I was like, holy shit. And like, that was a big year because obviously like voter turnout in that year was so huge because of COVID and everyone couldn't stand Trump. And then I guess we forgot. And now we're back to understanding he needs to go. Just a reminder that Americans.
You're waking up my PTSD again.
Worse than a goldfish.
But it's just incredible. And I think the great point that you made, Amanda, is that we are running the right candidates in the right places.
Yeah.
And we have all, myself included, I mean, I don't know if you have, Amanda, but we've been critical of Ken Martin, the chair of the DNC, but look, like, it's not that he waved a wand and made it awesome, but like, they clearly knew what they were doing on the ground. And I think that has made a tremendous difference. And the other thing, and I'd love to get your take on this, is that this is really like Democrats are waking up to the alternative media, like the podcasts and the influencer space. And I think it's making a huge difference. There were like 7 or 8 people I knew in my feed, arm in arm with Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger and Gavin Newsom in California. Like, they are getting it and it is working.
I absolutely. Yes, I agree. I mean, I worked with the Spanberger campaign really closely for the last few months, and I saw her, the candidate specifically, be so game to like do digital content with influencers and like just not limit herself to going on CNN or even Fox News or whatever. Like, the mainstream media is useless. I don't want to be like
it's gone the way of the dinosaur.
Yes, but it's not just, that's not just my opinion. Like viewership of the main cable news networks is down. It falls every year. It's the bottom is falling out. And to kind of hang a lantern on it, when people tell me like, when people criticize the Democrats or Ken Martin, whoever, sometimes I get pushback about that from my followers, and they'll say, well, that's just because the mainstream media spreads right-wing propaganda. I'm like, maybe that's true, but nobody fucking watches the mainstream media.
Right.
I'm not spreading right-wing propaganda.
Are real. Like, we have issues we need to correct. We have to course correct after a big loss. It's not just propaganda. Even if it was, it's propaganda no one hears. So who cares?
Right.
But even like, I thought about this a lot last night when I was drinking champagne. But the number of people that I hear from who say, when I did, for example, content about the race in Mississippi, where they broke the GOP supermajority in their state Senate, I had probably 30 people who lived in Mississippi DM me and say they did not even know that election was happening.
Yeah.
They would not have known if it hadn't been for digital content creators and influencers talking about it. So I think that we're not like responsible for this. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that the tide is changing, and that the voices of people making content about politics on the left are becoming more influential than mainstream media, if they aren't already.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the number of times I get comments, and I'm one of maybe 5,000, 10,000 content creators who get, hundreds of thousands, millions of views a month. The number of times I get comments that are about things that I think are like kind of mainstream news, and they'll say, I wouldn't have known about this if it weren't for this video. It might be 2 or 3, per video, but like that shit adds up when you've got 5,000-10,000 people who are all doing this. I saw the speech prof, Professor Chesko, who's one of my favorite creators on Instagram. He mentioned the other day that he gets about 100 million views a month across all of his platforms, which I had no idea. I know, which I'm like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? But the he does videos about like guys should like wipe their butts more and like to like keep themselves clean and stuff. So his videos are a little more mainstream, but the reach, absolutely. Like, people don't realize mainstream media, like on a good night, it'll get to like 800,000 people, maybe 1 million people. Like that's one good video from any of the 6 people on the screen right now. Yeah. And that happens in 24 hours too. I'm like, you're telling me it's this easy, and they're spending what, 6 million a day, 10 million a day, on their budget to create that same content. It's just it's a different
70-year-olds.
Different narrative.
You have to be over 70 to even fuck it. Well, I know my parents are over 70, and like they just have MSNBC in the background all day long, but that's it. It's like literally just people who want background noise. Like that's what the mainstream media is really turned into. Old people
turned way up because they don't have hearing aids.
Right. Sorry to my parents who listen to this. You're not old, I promise.
Trump's 60 Minutes interview from earlier this week.
90 minutes.
He was like bragging about it. Got like 16 million viewers or something like that. And it was record setting and all of this. And I was like, I do that in 48 hours. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
wait, are you suggesting Donald Trump inflated numbers that benefit him?
Even if he didn't, or even if he did, like
Rich, I think you meant 27 minutes.
Still not that impressive.
His views are up 3.2% since last year.
It's true. I mean, can you name the anchors of all of the network evening news at this point? I can't. Nope. And that used to be like back in the day, it was like Dan Rather, Peter Jennings, and who was on NBC? Oh God, now I can't even see.
Edward R. Murrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, well, Brian Williams at one point, but anyways, like nobody I mean, I think people over 70 watch that stuff. I mean, if you're retired, it totally makes sense, but like nobody under 50 watches that at all. And so, I mean, I think, and look, like, we had the first digital native win a big race in Mamdani here in New York City last night. And the reason he spent money on TV was only to push down the margins that Cuomo would get, because he was getting with older voters. But the majority of the people that he reached was entirely on social media. And we had, I think, the biggest turnout for an election since the 1960s,
69.
I believe. 69.
Which is really significant, because that was when like New York City was, and all of the college campuses were on fire because it's sometimes literally because of protests against the Vietnam War. Right, so for turnout to reach that level without in international conflict as the basis of it, that's like really significant. And I haven't seen anyone put it in that context yet.
And in Virginia, Spamberger's margin, a Democrat has not won the Virginia governor's mansion by that margin since the early 60s, when the Democratic Party stood for some very different things.
Yeah.
Especially in the South.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a really, like, when you're talking about modern American politics, she has set a new standard for the state.
Yeah.
It's
I think the thing that's really inspiring to me is like 2024 November, we like our house got burned down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole, and our media house got burned down, our political house got burned down, the actual House of Representatives almost. It was bad. And so now we're in a period where it's like, well, maybe instead of doing like a fucking half-ass remodel of the kitchen, we just do it right. Like, what if we just rebuilt a better thing? That it's way more expensive. It takes for fucking ever. It is a lot more work, but you get to do it correctly. And I think that's something that is really, I think the pandemic had this effect on our economy to some degree, but we're in a place now where we get to say, well, do we want MSNBC to be our source of truth? Do we want a Beyonce endorsement for the presidential candidate to be the most important thing in the world? Like, we don't have to do any of those things that didn't work for us. And now we get to just do a new thing.
Yep.
And that's really exciting to me, because we're seeing, like, Zoran Mamdani would not have been a viable candidate in a normal election year. They would have been like, no, you're too young, wait your turn. And they would have just crushed him way before the primary season. But he knew, and everybody knew, like, no, we need a big swing. We need something fucking crazy right now to wake everybody up. And that's what we're going to see. And I think we're going to continue. Now, this is just a spark. I think we're going to continue to see everybody else who looks like Zoran and who sounds like Zoran, or any of these other candidates who are thinking like, I want to get into this. Now is the time. Like, this is 2006 Barack Obama, right? Where you're like, okay, in 2 years, the timing is going to be perfect.
And this is where I refuse to make a prediction about 2028. People ask me, this is probably the most asked question that I get, is who do you think is going to win the 2028 primary? And I'm like, man, there are people who are going to be in that race whose name you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No question about it.
So just stop. Like, just let it unfold.
Let's focus on one election at a time, right? Like, I think, and what I think is really exciting about last night is that I hope this sends a signal to people who are thinking about running for office to run. Like, if you're even if you're in a red area, run. Just do it. And the thing about it is that, we were talking about this last night, but you run in some of these elections, like, even if you run close and lose, somebody below you, that might put them over the finish line. Like, building a base, a feeder system, essentially, for candidates is so important. And that's why I talk about run for something so often, because they help train people. Like, the message of last night is, one, we can win in red areas, but two, also, like, you can run. Like, it doesn't actually take that much. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't know anything, and like, is a crazy person, and is a member of Congress. Lauren Boebert, who wore that racist Halloween costume the other day,
that was fucked
she's
up.
won like 3 times. I think people think that there is like a barrier to running. Yeah. Next year, we need to run candidates everywhere, because we can actually win in places that I don't think anyone would imagine yesterday.
Yeah, Mamdani is the perfect example of that. I mean, he was polling at like 1% if you rewind to the primary, like early days, and now he just won 50.5% of all of New York City in a general
1 million votes.
Out of with three major candidates,
right?
Too. So it's it wasn't a one-on-one. I did see some funny threads posts from angry Cuomo people yelling at Curtis Sliwa for staying in. Is like, you caused us the election, and everybody was like, can you guys do math? Right. Even if you take this all, if you give all of them, which wouldn't even happen, he still wouldn't have beaten him. So,
if I was a Republican in New York, I would be so pissed off at Donald Trump right now. Actually, like, Sliwa won a major party primary, and Trump just abandoned him. I know he's a character, and he's whatever.
A joke.
I understand.
He eats cigarettes,
and he was never going to win. But fine. But like, he won your primary, and you just left him
endorsing
out to
Cuomo
blow in the wind and endorsed an establishment Democrat. Like,
it's very bizarre. I mean, that race was weird too. Like, I'm just looking at the numbers now, and it's like, to me, that's the only one where I was like, there's a deeper story to this, because Cuomo outperformed the polls by 10%. like that. I don't know why. Like that, it seems like a bunch of Sliwa support people got there and went, all right, I'll just go for Cuomo because he's the only viable person. But that I am very curious how that's going to go, because I do think like Mamdani's win is really critical for like what we're talking about in 28 and even in 26, because how he does in the job, I think, is going to play a role in how willing the Democratic Party is to embrace like deeper democratic socialist ideas. If he falls in his face and it doesn't work, I think they'll be like, yeah, forget it, we're not doing it. But I think if he succeeds, it'll be interesting. So I wonder, is he going to feel like I didn't perform as well as I thought I was going to, because almost the polling was way better than what ended up working out here. So I hope he still sticks to his guns and attacks this, because he needs to, or else Democrats are going to run another fucking Hakeem Jeffries type.
Well, I think if you look at the numbers, right, like most of the polls had Sliwa in the 15%, and he ended up around 7.
16 was the average. He got 7.
So
really,
essentially what you said is correct. Most
Yeah.
of those people got to the ballot box and made the decision for Cuomo. But
Right.
the Mamdani thing now, there's a couple things as the New York City resident of this in this show right now. There's a couple things. One, he has to appoint really smart people with city government experience to run the departments underneath him. Like that is a very, very important thing. And the other thing that is kind of flying under the radar right now is that the speaker of the city council, which is essentially like the legislature for the city, is retiring, Adrian Adams, and there is a battle underway to be the next speaker. And there is my city council member, actually, Crystal Hudson, is the Mamdani person. And then there is a more, I don't think it's fair to call her the Cuomo version, but like she didn't endorse a mayoral candidate. And these are the two. So it's going to be I think having either one of them is going to change the dynamics of how things get done. I think with Crystal, it's a partner, and with the other woman, which I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name. She's from the Upper East Side, I believe. It may be a little more contentious, so it'll be interesting, but he has to deliver on some of this.
Yes.
Or it will backfire on us. But he is a smart guy, and the city is behind him. I mean, he has a mandate, over 50% in a three-way race. He has a mandate. So
100%.
But he has to move quickly, I think, because otherwise you're right. I think Trump will salivate at going after him. But if he performs well, I think Mamdani could be his worst nightmare.
He's got to pick one thing and champion that one thing. Sort of like Obama did with Obamacare. Where he's like, I'm just going to attack this one gigantic issue and prove that I can get something done. I think he's got to do that. I mean, I leave it to you, Tim, being the New York City resident, of what that should be, but it needs to be something big, and like a lot of the city feels it.
Well, it's going to be a partnership with Kathy Hochul, because a lot of the things in the city that need to get done, you need state approval. The free bus idea, for example, the MTA is not run by the city; it's run by the state. So there you have to talk about that. He can raise city taxes on millionaires, so like I assume that will get done. And again, that average I think is like $2,000 extra for people making $1 million, because it's only on the money above $1 million. People always think that it's all or nothing, and it's it's a tiered thing. The rent control stuff, he's got some levers, but about 8% of apartments in New York City are rent controlled, and those are the ones that he really can manage. But all the ballot initiatives passed last night, which means there is more flexibility to develop housing in the city. So like that's probably an area where he really needs to get to work. The challenge with that is that we won't see results of that for 2 years, because building big buildings takes a while. And so that's going to be a challenge. Universal childcare.
Yeah, feels right.
Maybe. So we'll have to see. Because that one will save New Yorkers on average. I think the average is like $25,000 a year.
That's
what you make that free. That is an affordability win. Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I mean, not everybody has kids, but I mean, a ton do, and that will be a large scale effect that everybody can get behind.
It's also a lot of money that gets freed up and dumped into the economy in other ways, because it's not like the child care providers are not getting paid. They're just getting paid by somebody else. And then suddenly you've got $25,000 to spend. But I think,
pocket.
Right, exactly. Like, ooh, new hot tub. I think
you're just not going into debt. That's
right.
Pay off the student loan debt that Biden tried to cover for you.
Mm-hmm.
New York City we'll have New York City things to sort out with Mamdani, but when you look at like the national win, like what is Trump going to do with it, and will it be good or bad? Is it like he used to try to do with Pelosi? I mean, we're talking about 1 year, right, until people decide in the midterm. So like in terms of national political impacts, if Mamdani can pick one thing, if he freezes rent, if he can give childcare, if those million billionaires that we talked about in the last episode all leave New York, then housing prices are going to go way down really fast.
Right.
Those are going to show up in his approval rating. And if he's got a 50+% approval rating, whatever Trump says won't really matter, because people vote with what's happening to their life. Like that's what we saw last night. And that's what we'll see again. It's what we've seen in every election, frankly, forever. If you have more money and you're happier personally, you are more likely to vote with an open mind, for the future and for other people. You've got a bigger capacity for empathy. So if he can just maintain where he's at today, score some wins, Trump can say every fucking stupid ass thing that he's inevitably going to say. He can invade Venezuela.
Yeah,
and
he will.
will.
That's for sure.
And he was gonna either way. So I'm not.
I think New Yorkers are going to reflexively rally around Mamdani, even those who didn't support him, when they see that New York City, their home, is being targeted because Donald Trump's a racist. That's going to start peeling away the Cuomo voters who never would have supported a Democratic socialist. I think New York City is going to be really unified moving forward.
I also think when Cuomo voters realize that Mamdani is not instituting Sharia law, like some of them seem to have indicated,
he's a
is going
jihadist.
to help tremendously. I mean, that campaign, and I actually ended up speaking out against the Cuomo campaign because they ran, like, Cuomo went on a radio show and they were joking about, oh, could you imagine if Mamdani was mayor on 9/11? The Islamophobia, like, it wasn't even masking it.
No.
And I think when people... but it worked on some people. They were just like, I can't live here. It's going to be like this socialist hellscape. And I'm like, the things he was talking about, like if you looked at European politicians, I don't think they would call that socialism. It's just because we are such a right-leaning country that the notion of government providing services is, the Republicans have done such a great job of making it seem bad. When in fact, most of the world knows that it has problems, but it's good. Right.
Like all the things that they complain about, it's trying to solve those things. Like that's what I don't like. It's so
systemically, right? Like holistically and systemically solve those things, not like wait for a fucking startup to figure it out and then charge you a monthly subscription fee for it. Right. That's the private sector solution for everything.
I think it'll be really interesting how the Jewish community in New York responds to Mamdani, especially right now, because the last few days have seen such a weird vibe coming out of the GOP. Like, Trump going on Truth Social and calling Mamdani a Jew hater, and then saying if you vote for him, you're Jewish. Right. And then he said, if you vote for him and you're Jewish, you're stupid. Like he just called Jewish people stupid.
Great. That's awesome.
And then everything that's going on with the Heritage Foundation, backing Nick Fuentes, who is an open, verified company. Like the right is, I think, just starting to be a little more mask off about hating Jewish people, which they always have. Their alignment with Israel is not the same thing as their alignment with what happens to Jewish people. So as Mamdani gets into office and is very obviously not a Jew hater, and like nothing happens. Right. I think it'll be very interesting how the Jewish population responds.
Yeah. The other thing that I found really interesting that a lot of people haven't been talking about is also Trump's these ICE raids. Everyone hates them. Like, and I think that you see the Latino swings, like it's crazy. Like Zach, you said, or whoever said, like they were completely wiped out. And I think that's another reason why New Yorkers, like if he tries that shit here, it is Trump's popularity numbers will drop and Mamdani's numbers will shoot up. It is just a fact because New Yorkers are just, they've seen what happened in Chicago, see what happened in DC, and it's not working. Like it is not working in their favor at all. No, it's all bad for them right now.
It's the miscalculation is so obvious too, because like if you look at the data, people did generally support his immigration plans when he was elected, but he misrepresented what this was. Like he wasn't like, hey, we're going to just go and just zip tie women and children to throw them in vans. Are you guys in? Like nobody was in on that. They were like, all right, if you want to go after criminals and throw them out, that's cool. We're down with that. Like that pulled well. And then he just went 50,000 steps further, and everybody's like, wait a minute.
And we all heard the dog whistles. Like we knew.
Well, yeah,
that
everybody
we knew
else
exactly
is paying
what...
attention and said, "Hey, we know
Right.
exactly what's coming."
Right. Well, most people who vote for president don't pay attention, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. And well, because it's coming from Stephen Miller now. Like, even if Trump
President Miller.
genuinely, you never know if he genuinely believes the things that he's saying. Like,
Yeah.
you can never tell. But even if he did genuinely think, when I get into office, I'm only going to target criminals, he's lost his mental capacity so quickly since inauguration.
Yeah.
Like, he's so addled with dementia. I legitimately don't know if he knows what day it is half the time. And Stephen Miller is running the immigration policy now.
Yeah,
and Stephen
that's
Miller hates brown people. Like, you can just see
Deeply.
it. It's disturbing, the amount of, and odd. Like, it's 2025. What is your
The
problem?
fuck's wrong with you?
That's what I want to ask him. Like, what is your damage?
He's also from Santa Monica. Like,
No.
it's not like he's like had some experience or what. He's just awful. And his family is left leaning. Like, he had an uncle, right? I think in the first Trump administration, basically talking about how they all disowned him. Like, it is strange, but like, there's even videos of him in high school saying, like, why do I need to put stuff in the trash when we have janitors?
Yeah, I saw that.
That wasn't even racist. It's just, that's a classist thing, right?
Little
And
man
he's just
syndrome.
A piece of shit.
He is a Marvel villain. Like, he is a caricature of a villain. And like, when he was like, we're going to do this and we're going to go get the hippies, I was like, wait, is this Richard Nixon in the 60s?
Here?
What the hell is this?
I honestly think that Stephen Miller looks at Joseph Goebbels and is like, I want to be remembered like that. I honestly, I'm the speech
He's got
that he
a tattoo
gave
of
at
Joseph.
Charlie Kirk's memorial was literally lifted from Nazi speeches. The themes, the exact language.
The cadence.
I don't think it's an accident. I think that Stephen Miller wants to be remembered as the most powerful Nazi in history.
He's definitely got a tattoo of Goebbels naked somewhere on his body. 100%.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we never see that.
Pancake ass.
I mean, they're all such characters of villains. Even the SNAP stuff, which I do think probably had an impact as well. Like, that Trump is willing to take food away from poor children and working class Americans to like win an argument about taking healthcare away from the same people. It's like double cruel. And at the same time, the people are seeing their premiums. And we were talking to, we know somebody that their business, they got the notice on their premiums. They're going to go up 100% next year. 100%.
Yeah. It's insane.
And it's all a perfect storm. And yet they still don't talk about lowering prices. It's just, it's insanity.
Because they can't. It's not possible.
when you look at the convergence of things, it's a sign that he really doesn't think about things strategically. I mean, we've all known this. It's not 3-dimensional chess. He's playing checkers with like little pieces of chocolate. Like, that's about where he's at. Government shutdown, healthcare. Like, they passed the subsidy repeal. Like, they knew exactly what was going to happen, and they knew exactly when open enrollment is. It's always the same time every year. They set up open enrollment, price hikes to spike, SNAP benefits to dry up, job numbers to vanish, all and in the middle of a government shutdown, which they knew that they would get blamed for because the party in control almost always does, right over the top of an election. And they're like, how did this happen?
How could this happen?
So I have a theory, and I want to get Amanda's take on this. And I've seen other people, so this is not an original idea. I think after November, they thought that they had won forever, that they had effectively crushed the Democratic Party and progressives in general. They won up and down and everywhere. They got the Senate. They kept the House. And the way they have been operating, I think, shows that they thought, and these guys are not geniuses, by the way, so like, we have to factor that in. I think they thought they had it forever, so they were just going to implement their agenda. The American people, they were going to be able to crush mainstream media, which they did, and manipulate social media, which they did, but it wasn't enough. And I think that's why you have seen them do this incredibly stupid shit, because they thought they had it locked up forever.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that they have forgotten fundamentally like what the American culture is, which is defiance. That's it. It's not apple pie. It's fuck you. That's American culture. And I understand why they assumed that Democrats would not do that.
Yes.
We are like historically great at that.
Nope.
We aren't the most. We are
Pretty good at
very
it.
focus group, message test, et cetera, et cetera. But this is not business as usual. It's a singular time, and the pressure that the party felt from its base to wake up and do some actual fighting was enough. And not just the pressure on our politicians or our leaders, but on Disney, and I do think that the Jimmy Kimmel thing was a big turning point for people's willingness to resist. But there was, I think you're exactly right. There was an assumption that they had a mandate. They'd won all three, whatever, both chambers of Congress and the White House. And now that no one would push back. I think that's what they thought. There's so much drinking of their own Kool-Aid. They sniff their own farts so much at the GOP. And there's never any thought for 2% is not a fucking mandate, you idiot. And someone's going to wake up tomorrow and run against you. And they're just so shocked that anyone would have the audacity to say no. But, and I do think that the No Kings demonstrations had an impact as well. 7 million people in the street creates a permission structure for people who wouldn't otherwise be involved to be wait a minute, I don't like this. I'm going to go vote. And that may not feel like enough for some more revolutionary corners of the internet, but, it worked yesterday. So whatever.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, for me, the thing that I always kind of judge Democrats on is they're just too risk averse. And this move they made with the shutdown was the polar fucking opposite, which is exactly what I wanted to see. It was a very risky move because Republicans historically have been messaging masters. It didn't matter if they're right or wrong. They win because they can win the messaging war. And they got the shit kicked out of them because Democrats, I think, caught them by surprise. They're they're not going to do this. And they did everything right, which is so weird to say out loud, but they really did. And I think they're kind of on their heels and going, oh shit, what are they going to do right next? And they're going to have to kind of recalibrate how they're going to strategize.
Trump said it today. He said that he thought the shutdown has been bad for Republicans.
Yep, it has.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. Which is such a the unforced errors that he makes these days are so surprising to me. It's because no matter how you spin that, so you're saying even if the shutdown is the Democrats' fault, which is what he says, right? So you're saying that the Democrat strategy defeated you, which is a weird thing for him to admit.
Right.
Or saying that our shutdown, the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown, and we fucked ourselves. There's no part of what he just said that makes any sense for someone to say.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Luke.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I thought that the fascism was going to have a lot more cool, black leather, fucking regime kind of vibes. And really it's just a bunch of people with mommy issues that are fucking stupid. Yeah. That's pretty much the sum total of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they entrusted.
What you're describing is the History Channel effect. For real, I think that a lot of people growing up watching History Channel who became fascists saw tons of documentaries about the Nazis and were that's a cool aesthetic. I want to get into that.
Yeah.
There is the guy in Chicago, right? That had that did wear that.
Well, there's one in Iowa that they have found his ass.
And I was that's a choice.
5'4" and
right.
Okay.
They're always 5'4".
Yeah. They're always.
It kind of reminds me of we all watch the Victorian, all the Victorian everything, and then everybody's oh, it's so romantic. It's so only because you weren't there to smell what everyone smelled like.
Right.
250
once every
ago.
3 weeks.
It's humid as fuck. They're wearing 17 layers of clothes, and they're wearing those collars to keep the mites of the fucking the shit from falling into their shirt. This was not a sexy time, but history has treated it favorably.
And when anyone ever asks when is the best time to be alive in history, it's
right
now. It's now.
Yeah, 100%.
We do a bunch of terrible shit. Don't get me wrong, but right now. Victorian era? No. If you ever do
antibiotic era, if nothing else.
Oh dear, I got a splinter. I'm going to lose my hand.
And now I'm dead.
Calvin Coolidge's son died from a blister in his foot. That he got
really?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Well, William Henry Harrison, didn't he die of a cold or the flu or something after? I know there's some question about that.
It was probably pneumonia, but there was also theories that it was tainted water because DC was a disgusting poop swamp.
Right.
Still is.
Yeah, right now it is.
What a metaphor.
Yes.
I want to tell you guys, I like to look at Truth Social periodically to see what's happening while we're recording, see if anything fun happens. I think somebody slipped Trump a memo with his Adderall this morning. This is what he posted while we were recording. Happy anniversary. on this day, November 5th, 1 year ago, we had one of the greatest presidential victories in history. Such an honor to represent our country. Our economy is booming and costs are coming way down. Affordability is our goal. Love to the American people, President Donald J. Trump. Wow. Affordability, it's a weird word for him to use 12 hours after.
Did you see Vivek on Twitter last night? What Ramaswamy said?
No.
Ramaswamy got on Twitter and made a video because he's running for governor in Ohio. And he said, "We got our asses kicked because we don't focus on affordability. We talk too much about identity politics."
Yes, he's
and
right.
now Trump is echoing.
See, that dude's just scared because he's realizing that they will never accept him.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's
true. They will never accept him.
Kids
I saw.
They beat the fuck out of him. It's crazy.
So for anyone who hasn't seen this, Ramaswamy did a town hall style event, and young people who I think might have been high school students were coming up and saying horrible things. They're like, "You're Hindu, so you worship demons. Why should we trust you?"
Right.
And he answered like multiple questions. Kids just kept coming up and saying the same like insanely bigoted shit, and he still thinks that he's got a chance of winning this nomination.
Wasn't it a turning point event?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was a turning point thing.
Event.
You lie down with dogs and you get up with fleas. That's what happens.
They're never gonna pick you, buddy.
Yep. Well, we're seeing a big war in the GOP, right? Because there's the whole thing where Tucker Carlson brought on, basically Nazi Nick Fuentes, and now they're the culture warriors and I guess I'm going to call them the mainstream Republicans or the financial Republicans or whatever, are just at each other's throat about this. And I think just let them fight. But it is really interesting. And I think it's going to cause problems for them next year because whoever wins out in that, some of the other side will not vote. And it could be very helpful to Democrats. I mean, if we don't really, talk about winning the Ohio gubernatorial race, but if that shit continues and the margins we saw last night continue, Ohio is in play. Sherrod Brown is a very strong possibility to be elected to that seat, which is another flip that we would not expect. Like they are all spiraling, and they were spiraling before the election, probably because their internals told them the same story that we saw last night.
Now the momentum is going to continue to push in both directions, where their infighting is going to become more severe, and people like Sherrod Brown are going to look at this and go, "Oh, maybe I'm going to get into this race. Maybe this is the time to come back into
politics."
He
is in the race.
Exactly.
He is.
Okay, right. Okay, I didn't know if he'd declared yet. I know that.
He did.
They're sometimes a little bit coy about that.
Yeah.
No. You should go. People should,
no.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. It's interesting. Well, let's. We've only got a few minutes left, so let's. What do we think Democrats need to do now? Because obviously this was a great night, but we have a lot of work to do. And Amanda, I want to ask you first. Like, what do you think that the party needs to do to get prepared for what is going to be a sprint to November of 2026?
So a couple things. I just keep thinking about that Elmo gif of the fire. More of that. We had such a historic night, not just the margins of the big statewide races, but so many flips happened on like city councils. I was thinking about the Charlotte, North Carolina city council. One of their districts elected a Democrat last night for the first time ever. So more things like that. I think that we need to lean on Ken Martin to have no uncontested race and no dog catchers, no fucking milkmen, no uncontested races anywhere. I don't care if it's a holler in West Virginia. We need to be running people, which is hard. Recruitment is hard. I understand. I get it. Whatever. Shut up. Do it.
That's the job.
To donate any more money to you, you need to be. So every county, we need to have a presence in every county. No uncontested races. And I think now is the time to start. If you are a person who believes that the party needs to run more progressive candidates and fewer establishment candidates, or fewer candidates over the age of 75, you need to start thinking about the primaries now. Those have already started. The Senate races in Maine, the primaries are already underway. Rob Whitman, my congressman who's a Republican, there are 6 Democrats already lined up for the Democratic primary. So this has already started. So start getting involved in those races. The primaries are the time where you get to push the party in the direction you want it to go. not the general. You vote for blue no matter who. And I know that's controversial, but whatever. But the primaries are now. It's happening now.
Yeah, I think people need to start getting connected with their local parties.
Yes.
My ballot had 2 or 3 uncontested races where Republicans are the only option. And I live in Westchester County, New York. It's one of the most wealthy places in the country. I know that there are a ton of people here who have a comfortable enough life to put everything aside and do some public service. Like, I just want to see more people who have that comfort in life step up to the plate and serve their country.
100%.
Yeah, I think Howard Dean's 50-state strategy, Obama, everybody loved Obama in 2008, but Howard Dean was the architect of the greatest takeover of Congress, I think, maybe ever. And the way I think about it, it's like, no, it's everything. It's the candidates, it's the money, it's the investment. But it's also the fact that, like, we're all across the country, just the people here in this group, we're all across the country. Everybody's across the country. You have a cousin in Ohio. You've got a grandpa in Minnesota. Like, you've got people everywhere. We're all so interconnected. If that person is voting for a person like Mamdani, and you're like, well, that's great for you guys. I'm going to vote for my local Democrat. At least they're not crazy like Mamdani. Like, you give this net effect across the country where it's not just that person or that race. It's, well, I know people who voted for Mamdani and they're like my friends or my family, and I might not agree with them, but they're not fucking terrible monster crazy people. So I'm maybe a little bit more likely, 1 or 2% more likely to vote, in my red state for the Democrat, because maybe they're not all crazy. Like, you have to understand how interconnected people are. And if we take that approach and then we get good candidates, like, I love that, Amanda. Like, every single race should have somebody you know about or you've heard about, or you're like at least willing to maybe consider, so that you then have permission to make the bigger decisions.
Power structures are built at the municipal level.
Yep.
100%. Well, guys, I'm glad we're celebrating. I think it's time for us to wrap this show, but it's been awesome and really, really nice. I did a video this morning where I'm like, everything feels lighter today. And I think that's true. There are a couple, I want to do a couple things before we wrap up, but one is we asked you last episode to help a campaign to raise money to give federal employees who have been furloughed grocery store gift cards so they could feed their families. And we want to thank everybody who did that. And you could still do it if you go to thelaborforce.org/findout, thelaborforce.org/findout. We're still raising money for them so that they can give people the support they need to feed their families. The government is still shut down. It's probably not going to go too much longer, but these people need to eat now. So if you can donate, that would be great. Also, I have to push our merch. Rich and I have lovely shirt, lovely hoodie, made in America. Oh, there's a mug coming out.
Coffee though.
You can't buy that. But
we got a wrap so I can go buy or go pour more coffee.
Yeah. So so you can get that at findoutpodcast.com. But finally, Amanda, thank you very much for joining us. We've all been big fans of your content for a long time. And actually, when I told my wife that you were coming on, one of her best friends was like, oh, she's like my favorite creator. So it's great. So we really appreciate you coming on, and also all the work you did to help get Democrats across the finish line, and in particular, volunteering at the polling locations, which is kind of an unsung hero job of anybody who does that. So with that, everybody, enjoy this victory, take a little break, and then it's a sprint to 2026. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week.